Yeah, I think what happened to us this season, you don't see in the span of someone's whole career, yet alone one season.
The WNBA is officially on fire, not because of highlight reels or record ratings, but because players are finally saying out loud what fans have whispered for years: the league's leadership is out of touch. It all started when Minnesota Lynx star Napheesa Collier made a shocking revelation, claiming that Commissioner Cathy Engelbert told her Caitlin Clark should be grateful to the WNBA for her fame and multi-million-dollar endorsements. According to Collier, Engelbert allegedly said Clark wouldn't make anything without the league, and that one line, it set off a chain reaction that the WNBA's PR team never saw coming.
Her response was, well, only the losers complain about the refs. I also asked how she planned to fix the fact that players like Caitlin, Angel, and Paige, who are clearly driving massive revenue for the league, are making so little for their first 4 years. Her response was, Caitlin should be grateful she makes $16 million off the court, because without the platform that the WNBA gives her, she wouldn't make anything.
Moments later, Indiana Fever guard Sophie Cunningham, one of Clark's most vocal defenders, didn't hold back. In a viral comment that shook social media, Sophie called Engelbert the most delusional leader our league has seen. Then she doubled down, writing in all caps, "It shouldn't ever be about our commissioner in the first place." The statement was bold, emotional, and brutally honest, because what Sophie said out loud, many inside the league have been thinking for months: is the WNBA being led by someone who truly understands what's happening on the court, or just trying to control the narrative from a boardroom? This isn't just drama, it's a turning point. And if players are willing to call out the commissioner publicly, something deeper is breaking behind the scenes. Stay with me, because this story goes way beyond one viral comment. To understand just how explosive Sophie Cunningham's words were, you've got to rewind the clock a bit. For months,
Tony, I don't want to keep you off your good streak, but you said know anything about basketball. Is there anything to that beyond officiating to you, or is that mostly?
Say what? I'm sorry?
You said that business people but don't know anything about basketball. Is that a critique beyond officiating, or is that most of where that?
No, I think it's officiating for sure. I think that there's room for improvement there when people are reaching, why is that a foul, or why is that not upgraded, or why is it not a foul? Well, the criteria says, well, the criteria needs to change. Clearly.
The WNBA has been walking on a tightrope between growth and chaos. The arrival of Caitlin Clark, the NCAA phenomenon turned Indiana Fever superstar, brought in record ratings, sold-out arenas, and national buzz the league hasn't seen in decades. But with that spotlight came division. Veteran players and league officials have quietly struggled to handle the tidal wave of attention Clark commands. Some feel she's being overhyped. Others believe she's the lifeline keeping the WNBA relevant in mainstream sports. And that's where things started to crack. When Napheesa Collier revealed that Cathy Engelbert allegedly said Clark should be grateful to the WNBA for her $16 million off-court earnings, fans were stunned.
Wow. That's a mentality driving our league from the top. We go to battle every day to protect a shield that doesn't value us. The league believes it succeeds despite its players, not because of them. I have the privilege of watching my husband run a league where he has to balance 100 different things at once. I won't pretend the job is easy, but even with all of that on his plate, he always takes the time to reach out to players when he sees an injury.
It was a declaration. Players standing up and saying, enough with the politics, enough with the PR spin. Because at its core, this isn't about one comment. It's about a disconnect between the players driving the league's momentum and the leadership trying to control its image. And that disconnect, it's starting to show cracks in the foundation. Let's break it down. How did this expose the deeper problems inside the WNBA's power structure? Here's where the cracks turn into a full-blown fracture. When Collier dropped her bombshell about Cathy Engelbert's alleged grateful comment, it didn't just embarrass the commissioner, it forced everyone to pick a side. And in the world of professional sports, that's dangerous. On one side, you've got the players, the faces of the league, who risk everything on the court. They're demanding transparency, higher pay, and respect for what they bring to the game. On the other, the leadership, executives trying to balance corporate partnerships, TV ratings, and a fragile public image. But when the leader of that system reportedly tells her players to be grateful, it It flips the narrative completely. It sends a message. You owe us for your success. That's exactly why Sophie Cunningham's words hit like lightning. She didn't just defend Caitlin Clark. She called out a culture that seems to take credit for the players' hard work. Her comment, "People only know Cathy because of C," wasn't just shade. It was a reality check. Because it's true, without Clark's explosive rookie season, the WNBA wouldn't be dominating headlines or breaking viewership records. Yet, instead of embracing her as the bridge to a new era, leadership appears to be undermining her, framing her rise as something they allowed, not something she earned. Fans noticed, players noticed, and most importantly, sponsors noticed. Now, the question isn't whether Engelbert said those words, it's what those words represent. Are we seeing a commissioner losing control of her locker room, or a group of players finally realizing their collective power? Up next, how this tension isn't just personal, it's escalating into a full-blown crisis that could redefine the WNBA's future. This is where things go from uncomfortable to dangerous for the league's image. Because after Sophie Cunningham's outburst, social media exploded. Fans flooded the comments, debating whether she was out of line, or simply saying what others were too afraid to. And that's when the WNBA's silence became deafening. No immediate response from Cathy Engelbert, no acknowledgement from league PR, nothing but a carefully worded statement days later, one that said she was disheartened by Collier's comments and still committed to the players. But by then, the damage was done.
I just wanted to get some clarity on some of the specifics that Napheesa Collier said about your conversation that you had that was previously private. Did you in fact say that, quote, players should be on their knees thanking their lucky stars for the rights deal that I got them?
There's a lot of inaccuracy out there through social media and all this reporting. And so I think what's most helpful is to focus on, I have been in touch with Napheesa, we've exchanged texts, we're talking next week. So I think obviously a lot of reporting, a lot of inaccuracy about what I said or what I didn't say. And I will tell you, I highly respect the players. There's a lot of emotion and passion going on right now because we're in collective bargaining, we're in the WNBA finals. And so I'll leave it there. I mean, I'm just obviously disheartened.
See, the WNBA has always presented itself as united. Players, coaches, and leadership working together to grow the game. But in 2025, that unity looks more like a facade. The officiating controversy, the double standards in media coverage, the resentment toward Caitlin Clark's fame. Each issue has been stacking like bricks in a wall. And now, Sophie just punched a hole straight through it. Her comment, "It shouldn't ever be about our commissioner in the first place," revealed something deeper. Players feel the league has become more about optics than authenticity. When the person at the top is accused of downplaying her own stars, it doesn't just hurt morale, it destroys trust. Because how do you lead a league when your players are openly calling you delusional on Instagram? The tension isn't just player versus commissioner anymore, it's generational. The veterans who built the WNBA through grit and loyalty are now clashing with a new era of athletes who understand brand power, social media, and influence. And Cathy Engelbert? She's caught in the middle, trying to maintain control of a league that's no longer afraid to talk back. But if you think this is just a PR storm, wait until you see what's happening behind closed doors. Behind the polished press releases and the "We Stand Together" slogans, there's a real fracture forming inside the WNBA, one that's been brewing for years. Let's talk about what's really happening behind the scenes. Players like Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and Paige Beckers represent a new era of athlete, young, marketable, and unapologetically aware of their value. They're pulling millions in endorsement deals and bringing fresh eyeballs to the league. But while the spotlight grows brighter, the tension inside the organization grows darker. Cathy Engelbert was hired to professionalize the WNBA, to turn it into a stable, profitable business. But in chasing corporate polish, many players feel she's forgotten the soul of the sport. They see a commissioner more focused on TV rights and sponsor dinners than player treatment or officiating consistency. So when Engelbert allegedly told Collier that players should be grateful, it wasn't just a bad quote. It was confirmation of a growing belief that leadership views players as assets, not partners. And Sophie Cunningham's response hit that nerve perfectly because it wasn't scripted. It wasn't PR friendly. It was raw truth. She said what every frustrated player sitting in a locker room after a missed call or a pay dispute has thought. They don't get it. Even more telling, the timing. Sophie didn't post this months later. She fired back instantly. That shows how tense things have become inside the Fever locker room, where loyalty to Caitlin Clark runs deep and frustration with leadership runs deeper. This isn't just a personality clash, it's a rebellion, a moment where WNBA players are starting to realize they don't have to stay quiet anymore. So what happens if this rebellion grows? How far can it go before the WNBA's public image starts to crumble? The ripple effect from this controversy is shaking the entire foundation of the WNBA, and the league's leadership knows it, because this isn't just about one commissioner or one quote anymore. It's about who truly controls the narrative of women's basketball. For decades, the WNBA has fought for respect, battling low viewership, small salaries, and constant comparisons to the NBA. But this time, the battle isn't external, it's internal. Sophie Cunningham's words ripped open a wound that's been festering: the growing disconnect between the players who create the product and the executives who package it. When athletes like Caitlin Clark can single-handedly boost ticket sales, TV ratings, and merch revenue, it's clear where the real power lies: on the court, not in the boardroom. Yet leadership seems slow to adapt. Instead of empowering its new stars, the league risks alienating them. That's why fans are starting to take sides, some defending Engelbert's business-first approach, others demanding she step down entirely. And here's the twist: this controversy might actually define the next phase of the WNBA's evolution, because while corporate leadership might view this as a PR nightmare, it's also proof of something powerful: that WNBA players finally have leverage. They're no longer faceless names on a roster. They're brands, voices, and movements. Sophie Cunningham's public defense of Caitlin Clark wasn't just loyalty, it was a signal flare, a message that players are done being polite when leadership disrespects their value. Whether Engelbert survives this storm or not, one thing's clear: the WNBA will never return to the quiet, compliant version of itself. The players have found their voice, and they're not giving it back. So how does this all end? Let's close this out with the reality check every WNBA fan needs to hear. Let's be real. This moment isn't just another WNBA headline. It's a reckoning. For years, the league has asked fans to believe in women, to support growth, and to celebrate progress. And the WNBA's future depends on what happens next. If Engelbert and the league's execs don't listen, really listen, to their players, they risk losing the trust of the very people keeping this league alive. Fans don't tune in for boardroom decisions or PR statements. They tune in for heart, authenticity, and the athletes who leave everything on the floor. The WNBA stands at a crossroads: evolve with its stars or get left behind by them. Because make no mistake, women's basketball is booming. The question is whether the WNBA's leadership will be wise enough to step aside and let that boom happen naturally. So maybe Sophie Cunningham's words weren't reckless. Maybe they were necessary. Maybe it's time for the league to stop demanding gratitude and start showing respect. Because the real power isn't in the commissioner's office, it's in the players' voices. And those voices are finally too loud to ignore. If you believe the players deserve better, hit that like button, drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe, because this story is just beginning.